Can you get a job while you are active duty in the military? And that's what we will be discussing here today, as well as how can you get a job and develop a skill to secure your first $100,000. So if we are meeting for the first time, my name is Yoon Kim. Within 6 years, I was able to go from 200 to $200,000. My whole YouTube channel is a documentation of that journey. My goal right now is to help future and current service members understand exactly what they need to do to get to their first $100,000. And so 2 days ago, I posted a video, a live of 3 steps to kickstart your journey towards that. And Jacob left a question, a comment. And so shout out to you, Jacob. He's about to leave for boot camp in 17 days. At the same time, his question is, what really caught my ear was that there will be things along the way that may result in me having to spend money either for family or lifestyle. So to give you some context, so my recommendation, the golden rule, the platinum rule, is to save $1,000 each month. As you rank up in the military, right, you start saving more than $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, etc. And just by purely saving, right, you can get to fairly close or get to $100,000 within, let's say, 5 years in the military. But the thing is, this assumes the best case scenario that nothing's going to happen to you, that you're not going to want to purchase a car, a new cell phone, some expensive clothes, fly out to visit your family, once or twice a year, right? This assumes the best case scenario that you're able to purely save. So that is a very fragile thinking. That's a very fragile method. So to supplement that, right, to be able to understand, okay, I can spend some money, but at the same time, I need to have something on the side to continue to build my wealth. So the question is, how can I make more money while in the Navy? What kind of investments should I make along the way or keep in mind? Right? What are some things that I should look into besides thrift savings plan? Because that's a more of a retirement plan for the 50 years down the road. So, very good question. Shout out to you, Jacob, because for you to be engaged, right, understand the content, have questions, ask, and get it answered. I can already tell that you are well off in your journey to actually pulling this off, because definitely not a lot of people are able to. So to help you understand exactly what to do, right? The question is basically along the lines of, how can I increase my chances of securing 100K in the next 4 to 6 years, right? What do you need to do? So within this context of our conversation, right, being in the military, you have limited time because obviously the majority of your time is going to be taken up by the military, right? So within this context, what I want to share with you is two train of thought, right? Number one, time equals money and skill equals money, right? So time equals money model is, within our conversation, is a job or a gig, right? So working at Target, Domino's, Starbucks on the weekends, right? Uber, Grubhub, DoorDash, gig on the weekends, right? That's going to supplement what you're already making within your time in the military. And that's great. And one of the benefits of that is it's predictable, right? But it's not scalable, right? Meaning your income has a limit, but the upside is it's very easy to enter, right? Anybody can get a job, anybody can do a gig for Uber, Grubhub, or any of these companies, right? So let me elaborate a little bit more. So when I say your income has a limit, right? Target, for example, let's say you get a job, work in an hour, you get $10 an hour, right? And you work the weekends, let's say 20 hours on the weekends. So basically, you're going to get $200 before taxes, right? It's a very set pay, right? If you work some more hours, maybe throughout the week, maybe you can do another 40 hours, maybe you get $400, right? It's limited to that cap, right? If you do Uber, Grubhub, DoorDash, etc., right? Depending on the weekend, depending on how popular it is, maybe you can eke out a couple $100, but that's really it. It's comparable to actually working, getting a job, right? Having a predictable pay. So that is not scalable, right? It's a good thing to do, right? It's an easy entry, but it's not scalable in terms of there's a ceiling, right? You can't in a weekend make $1,000 or $2,000, right? That's not possible with this model. On the other hand, within your time in the military, if you can figure out how to become an expert at a field, right, to market your product or services for X amount of money, now we are talking about a different conversation. This is something that is scalable, right? So if, for example, if I had the ability to create art, right, and I can create a masterpiece, for example, this face, right, this painting, right, I could sell it for $100,000 or 500K or $1 million, right, depending on my level of skill, right. But obviously, to develop to this level of skill, it takes a long time, right, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, etc. There's a lot of marketing that has to go on, a lot of skills that I need to develop to be able to create a masterpiece and sell it for a lot of money, right. But, right, understanding that skill equals money, right? It's harder to pull off, but the income is scalable and it is worth it, right? So, by all means, right, to answer your question directly, what do you need to do? You can get a job, right? And you can make, $10 an hour or a couple $100 on the weekend. But obviously, that takes a lot of time away from you, right? On the weekends, you're going to be spent, doing a particular job or a gig, right? And it's not as fulfilling as you might think it is, right? The money is not the end game goal here, right? The end game goal is, within a long term, right? As we were discussing earlier, in the long term, 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, what kind of skills do you need to develop now to transition out of yourself within the military that you can have an easy transition, right? So, for example, some of the things the skills that I developed is number one, investing in the stock market, right? I understand how to invest in the stock market at a very high level. If a client wants to sit down with me and have a one-on-one coaching session, I can charge them easily $500 in an hour. I'm trying to charge them really $1,000 an hour. I just need to develop some few more, guided paperwork, homework, and all that kind of stuff to be really able to do that. But I have the utmost confidence in my skill to be able to pull that off. Right? I can charge people $1,000 an hour because I understand and I've invested in myself for right about $15,000 in my own education to understand how to invest in the stock market and develop businesses to be able to charge and justify that amount of money. And I have the skills and I have the results to prove it and back it up, right? YouTube channel is something that I'm coming into now, right, to develop my brand, my market, my skills, my ability, and scale this channel up to 100,000 subscribers, maybe within the end of the next year, is more realistic for me. And as well as HTC, high ticket closing, which is a sales position. So Yoon Kim LLC is a legitimate business, right? That is actually what I do on the full time, right? I have a full time job in the military, and I have a full time job, right, business that I personally run, and YouTube is something that I'm really getting into now that I'm going to kill. So in my opinion, right, to answer your question, Jacob, time is money, right? And you can definitely, you can definitely come in, right? It's okay to do in the beginning, but it's not worth it in the long game, right? You can do this, but while you are doing this, supplementing and getting some extra cash, right? The biggest thing that I personally challenge you to do is figure out how you can develop some sort of skill that you can focus on the long game. Because if I got out of the military right now, I'm perfectly fine, right? Because within my business, on a good month, I made $9,500 extra while being full time in the military, right? So on top of the military pay, the best month that I've had was $16,000, right? So you can imagine the amount of skills and I enjoy what I do, right? And I can have an easy transition and I don't have anything to worry about. And so that's kind of the position that I want you to be in, is to develop some sort of skill that, if you were to transition out of the military, you can easily do so because you're not dependent on the government to take care of you. You're not dependent on, your mom or dad or your dog or anybody else to take care of you. you have the confidence because you've developed the skills, and there's so much opportunities out there. All you have to do is just go after it, grab it, and put in the work, put in the hustle. Because like I said, there's so much opportunities out there. There's so much opportunities in front of me that it's hard for me to actually fail, and hard for me to not actually have $1 million within the next couple of years. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. Hope that gave you a lot of value. If you have any question, leave it in the comment section down below. Talk to you soon.